Hello, welcome back to the final part here at Sports Tonight Live on Sky Channel 498 and Freeview HD 112. Remember, even though it's the final part, you can still get in touch with us. 3 ways to do it. STL-broadcast is our Skype address. You can tweet us at Sports Tonight TV, or you can give us a call 0207 291 0868. Myself, Daniel Harris, and Leroy, I almost called you, Rosenior, joining me in the studio. Now we're going to have a little look at some transfer info, but before we do, Harry Harris joins us now on the Skype. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to see you again, Harry. And there's some breaking news with regards to Portsmouth, in that the back pay that Nwankwo Kanu has been claiming, which is $3 million, could actually, in effect, according to the Portsmouth administrator Trevor Birch, put the club out of business before the season has even started on the 18th of August against Bournemouth. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I've got to say, it couldn't be more red-hot news, because I only spoke to Trevor Birch about an hour ago, maybe less, and what he had to say was quite disturbing.
Yeah.
There are a number of players at Portsmouth, well, I could say not very many left. They've got 8 senior players, they've got 4 kind of development players, so they've got a squad of 12. But he was telling me that he's had to reduce all their salaries to £5,000 a month. Obviously, he's got Ben Haim, who's on £36,000 a week, and £5,000 a week that he's got to reduce them to. Kanu has served the club with a notice that he's £3 million in salary arrears. So Trevor Birch is saying that he has a new owner who wants to buy the club, but it's conditional on all these players either leaving or reducing their salaries. And quite clearly, if Kanu doesn't drop his legal action against Portsmouth, then the club will close within 2 to 3 weeks.
So is Trevor Birch aggravated with Kanu for claiming the money, or does he think it's fair enough that at this point Kanu gets what's due to him?
Well, his actual comment was that the players hadn't got Portsmouth into this position, but it's now in the hands of the players to get them out of this position. Clearly, at certain points, the club won the FA Cup in 2008. At certain points, players were recruited at vastly excessive wages for a club of Portsmouth's size. 2 or 3 of those players remain at the club, and the club can't possibly sustain it. What Trevor Birch said was that, look, there's a kind of like cry wolf with Portsmouth. It's been said, best part of 2 years they're about to go under, and they haven't. So no one really takes much notice, but he said really it's reached the point where it is very serious, and he believes they have 2 to 3 weeks left, and he's a very serious guy. He wouldn't be telling me that unless he really believed it.
Leroy, I want to get your take on this, being a former player. I mean, what do you... Well, I mean, if you were in this position, or what advice would you give, and what's your view on it? Bearing in mind that Kanu could now single-handedly close a football club, regardless of, well, not single-handedly, at this point, sorry, not single-handedly, of course, but he could probably add the straw that breaks the camel's back, basically, and finally put the final nail in the coffin. Where do you see this as? Because a lot of people would say, oh, hang on a minute, Kanu's probably got a lot of money, why is he trying to claim $3 million? But the point is, it's money that's due to him, and he's served he served his time at Portsmouth, and he's not the one who made up the wages in the first hand for footballers. He's not the reason they get paid so much. So where do you sit on this?
Well, just coming back to Kanu, because it's interesting that Trevor Birch said that it's the players who've got to get them out of this mess. I know this has been ongoing for a long time, and there was a time when Kanu had a 3-year contract, and a 1-year contract on quite big money, and he agreed to turn that into a 3-year contract. That's why Kanu's been there such a long time, so because he's had his contract kind of stretched out to try. So that is one thing I know about, and I'm sure the players have tried to do other things as well. So I'm not too sure if it's fair to say, look, it's down to Kanu. It seems like it's the last straw that broke the camel's back, because Kanu absolutely loves that football club. He cares about it. So, from his point of view, I think that he's tried to do things along the way. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but that's what I glean, because I know that at the time, when Steve Coster was manager, said that Kanu had been absolutely magnificent in the way he'd acted in taking that, in lengthening his contract. So he might have been pushed into a corner, Harry.
So, Harry, I mean, you've broken the news. What are your views on it? Personally, what do you make of it all?
Well, I think that I said yesterday we were talking about Van Persie and we were talking about Modric and how I was saying that players need to honour their contracts. It's no point people saying, well, Van Persie has 1 year left, so the club must sell him. If the club wish to keep him for that 1 year, he should honour it. Equally so, clubs have to honour their contracts. You know, no one forced Portsmouth to sign a contract that gave these players so much wages. So I don't think Trevor Birch is blaming them, but quite clearly, you know, agents and players have escalated their wages over a number of years to points where it's unsustainable for the clubs. We were talking about this 2 or 3 days ago about whether the Premier League need a financial fair play, which of course there's a lot of agitation that they do. The players' salaries need to be capped in a way, if not from strictly capping it. There is clearly a problem here if only 7 Premier League clubs are making profits. Glasgow Rangers has just gone under and it is trying to re-emerge. No one's immune from going bust.
It was actually me who was stating that case for the fight for the fair play rule. And in a connected point, as an outsider looking in, to me it was obvious when Portsmouth was spending all that money, as it was when Leeds was spending all that money, that they were spending money that they didn't have. Similarly, it was obvious that Manchester United have taken on a dangerous level of debt, yet they've managed to be just about successful enough to pay it off. And so, bearing that in mind, do you think that the FA should actually be taking a more proactive role in saying to a club, when they appear to be acting in that kind of fashion, hang on a sec, can you show us that you can afford to do this? Or should they wait until the house of cards collapses?
Yes, I absolutely agree the FA should, but the FA relinquished their control over the clubs in 1992. And the Premier League are autonomous. So they decide their own fate. It's entirely up to them. Club chairmen now are agitating for some sort of financial controls. It's a long time coming. It's no point saying, well, it's too late in the day. It needs to be done at some stage. Better late than never. So that I believe will happen because they can see this new wodge of money coming in, 75% increase in the TV revenues in a year's time. Clubs are going to get 60 to 90 million pounds of TV revenue. It's an enormous amount of sum of money that they need to address, not just giving it more money to the players and their agents. So we can all see that there needs to be some tight controls, yes, but it's going to have to come from the clubs themselves. Will they do it? That's the question.
Yeah. Now, listen, Harry, thank you so much for breaking that story for us. And I'm sure if anyone's going to keep us up to date on everything that's going on, it will be from your mouth.